Remember the steel mill headlines of the 1980s? Robots will steal factory jobs. Fast forward to today, and the same story keeps looping on TV. Autonomous trucks threatening long-haul drivers, burger-flipping arms replacing teenagers at the grill. But what if that headline is outdated, dangerously outdated? What if the first wave of large-scale AI layoffs won't hit the man in a hard hat, but the woman in a blazer typing from her downtown cubicle? Welcome to the new labor revolution where algorithms write contracts faster than junior attorneys, generate tax memos before lunch, and knock out entire ad campaigns while you refill your coffee. Today we'll unpack the uncomfortable, underreported truth. Blue-collar work may survive the AI era longer than the middle-class office job. Stick around if you dare, especially if your job happens in front of a monitor. For nearly a century, futurists split labor into two neat buckets: manual routine and cognitive non-routine. Industrial robots, the argument went, excel at tasks that are physical, repetitive, and predictable: spot welding a car door, sorting Amazon packages, scanning groceries. Conversely, anything involving language, subtle judgment, or human nuance was supposed to be safe. Headlines reinforced the script. Factory of the future needs 0 humans. Meanwhile, TV pundits chuckled that no robot can write poetry or negotiate a contract. That idea crystallized into public policy. When politicians talked about workers displaced by automation, they meant coal miners, line cooks, maybe warehouse pickers. Billions in retraining money flowed into coding boot camps, training blue-collar folks for supposedly safer office gigs. But here's the hidden twist the mainstream largely missed. Software has won the language game. In March 2023, OpenAI's GPT-4 aced the uniform bar exam. Months later, Goldman Sachs estimated that up to 300 million full-time jobs worldwide could be automated by generative AI, most of them white-collar. Let's ground the controversy in hard data, because this isn't a sky-is-falling rant. It's a stats story hiding in plain sight. Brookings Institution, October 2024. Over 30% of American workers could see more than half of their tasks disrupted by generative AI. Unlike earlier automation waves, exposure skews toward cognitive occupations: clerks, paralegals, marketing analysts, even financial advisors. OECD, November 2024. Workers with higher education are most at risk, precisely because their tasks are predictable, document-heavy, and already digitized. Financial Times, March 2025. The regions poised to lose the most employment share aren't Rust Belt towns. They're Silicon Valley, New York City, Washington, D.C. Wealth hubs built on information work have the highest density of jobs vulnerable to AI substitution. Why the inversion? 3 underreported reasons. 1. Physical dexterity is still outrageously hard and expensive. Ask a robotics PhD. Training a robot to reliably grasp a screwdriver costs tens of thousands per unit and mountains of data. Training an LLM to draft boilerplate takes pennies and the internet. 2. White-collar workflows already live in the cloud. No conveyor belts to rewire, no OSHA clearances, just an API key. 3. Venture capital loves asset-light disruption. Swapping lawyers for language models scales globally overnight. Replacing plumbers needs warehouses and shipping crates. Yet news segments keep panning back to fast food kiosks. Maybe robots flipping burgers makes a neater B-roll then GPT redlines NDAs. But misdiagnosing the target means misdirecting policy and mispreparing you. Here's the tech primer the evening news rarely squeezes into a soundbite. Large language models, GPT-4o, Claude 3, Gemini Ultra, are probability engines trained on quadrillions of tokens. They excel at pattern matching in symbolic space, words, code, formulas. Scaling laws show that doubling parameters halves error rate along predictable curves. Translation: cognitive improvement is cheap and fast. Contrast that with robotics. A robot hand needs motors, sensors, real-time controllers, and months of reinforcement learning in a high-fidelity simulator plus a reality. Break a finger servo and you're down 20 grand. That's why Amazon's newest Sparrow robot can still only pick about 65% of warehouse items reliably. So when CFOs run the numbers, the first headcounts they trim aren't on the loading dock. They're in accounts payable. An LLM fine-tuned on invoices costs less than an office chair. Yes, warehouse bots will keep advancing, but the timing matters. White-collar displacement arrives sooner because the tools already sit on every laptop. 1. Customer support. When a Fortune 500 software firm rolled out an AI chat assistant to 5,000 agents, average tickets resolved per hour jumped 14%. The biggest productivity leap, up to 35%, hit the least experienced reps. Within 9 months, the company froze all entry-level hiring. You didn't read that headline on cable news. You felt it in the vanished job postings. 2. Legal research. In 2023, elite firm Allen & Overy adopted Harvey. By 2024, over 235 firms across 42 countries followed. Internal surveys show junior associates saving 40% of billable hours on first-pass memos. The hidden effect: partners quietly forecast smaller incoming classes because clients won't pay $300 an hour for what Harvey does in seconds. 3. Accounting and audit. A 2024 scoping review found LLMs reliably generate draft audit plans, flag anomalies, even cross-check IFRS citations. Early pilots at 2 Big Four firms slashed prep time by a third. One partner quipped off record, "Junior auditor is the new typist." Notice a pattern? These are all knowledge tasks once deemed too complex for automation, yet they fell before robots could thread a needle. Let's zoom out from job titles to ZIP codes. The Financial Times analysis cross-referenced O-Star net task data with census employment by metro. They discovered a perverse irony. Places that thrived in the last tech boom stand to bleed the most in the next. San Francisco Bay Area, coders and data analysts saturate payrolls. New York City, finance, media, consulting, all text-heavy. Washington, D.C., policy research and legal drafting, language by the terabyte. Meanwhile, manufacturing towns like Toledo or Birmingham show lower immediate exposure simply because fewer locals write slide decks for a living. This flips the popular narrative of forgotten factory towns. But don't expect headlines to read, "Silicon Valley is the new Rust Belt." It doesn't fit the hero-villain storyline so nicely. Here's where the controversy gets personal. White-collar workers enjoy salaries built on information asymmetry. You pay a lawyer because you don't read case law. AI dilutes that moat at near zero marginal cost. Past automation shaved jobs at the bottom of the wage ladder, but left middle managers intact. This wave chops from the middle outward. That shrinks the earnings ladder itself. Fewer rungs between entry-level and executive. Economists call it job polarization. Workers call it nowhere to climb. Pay gaps could widen, even if total employment stays flat. Why? Because the premium accrues to people who can deploy AI, not replace it. Think one senior accountant commanding 10 LLM co-pilots instead of 10 juniors. The risk isn't just unemployment. It's underemployment. MBAs forced into gig work, while a handful of AI-augmented seniors pocket the surplus. That recipe breeds political backlash no matter who wins the presidency. I promised controversy, not despair. So let's end with leverage points mainstream pundits rarely mention. 1. Learn to prompt, not to code. The new entry credential is the ability to ask machines the right questions, not necessarily to build them. 2. Move from procedural to relational, tasks that hinge on human trust, negotiation, coaching, frontline care, still resist automation because empathy lacks scalable data. 3. Build real-world scarcity. Trades like plumbing, electrical, carpentry, and advanced manufacturing require in-person skill plus licensing. They're shielded by geography and friction. 4th, lobby for transparent metrics. Companies will adopt AI anyway. The fight is for reporting standards on displacement, wage effects, and reinvestment. Sunlight beats slogans. We're standing at the dawn of a white-collar reckoning the evening news barely previews, because cameras still love factory robots. But the next industrial revolution hums in spreadsheets and legal briefs, not assembly lines. If you sit in front of a screen for a living, the algorithm already knows your shortcut keys. The question is, do you know it's? Thanks for watching. If this opened your eyes, smash that subscribe button and share it with a friend before their job description turns obsolete.